Hello everyone, I'm Jeff Krieger from Whitby, and we're going to be talking about quality of experience. I'm a little overly passionate about this because I feel like we all owe our livings to the consumers that are home watching the content, and providing a really good experience for them. It should be really important for all of us, and it's honestly not that hard, and we can help you out with it. So your brand appears in a lot of places. And you want to make sure that there's harmonization across all those brands or all those devices. And you want to have a one-to-one relationship with your viewer, but sometimes you just can't do that. And one of the biggest problems is your brand is going out over a lot of different delivery paths to multiple devices, onto multiple platforms, and you've got to maintain a consistent, experience for your customer, but how can you do that when there's so many different places they can see your content? So if you add Whitby to your brand, we can help you out with that. So our devices are connected at the edge where your customers are consuming the content, so then you can then do a live view to see what that looks like, but you can also do some testing and measurement. We're going to look at some use cases here in a minute or two, but let me explain why Whitby is so important to doing that. So multi-service, we can look at any type of product where your content is sent out. Multi-device, any kind of device. We can do anything from a set-top box to a gaming console to mobile device to a smart TV. And the smart TV application is really cool, and if anybody wants to see it afterwards, we'll show it to them. And then multi-network. It can be however your content's delivered. And how does it work? Well, we provide QA automation. So I'll get to that in a second, but in the next slide. But just really quickly, we're doing proactive monitoring, so we're constantly looking 24/7 at how your content's displayed on different devices. And we're also doing benchmarking. So if you're an OTT service and you want to see how well you're performing in a certain market against other services in the similar category, we can benchmark, and that way you can make sure that your delivery is happening as you'd expect it. All of this is done with what we call our robots. The robots are working full-time behind the scenes based on the scenarios that you need to have measured, which is completely up to you. But the robots are doing things that humans can't. You can't get a human to work 24 hours a day. You can't get them to give you similar results over multiple devices, but our robots can do that. We have two different sort of products or services. One is Onprem, which is, here's where the journey sort of starts. This is a Whitbox. You connect it to whichever device that you want to have measured. You can put it in your head end. If you have a cousin that has AT&T and UVerse at their house and you want to keep an eye on that, we can do that too. You can put it in your lab and connect any device that you want. This is just one unit. This is the Whitbox. We also have a Whitbox Plus where you can connect up to 4 devices. So that's the on-premises application. The other is in the cloud. And it can be a dedicated device. So for example, if you said we need to take a look at the Oi box in Brazil, then we can set that up for you so that you'll have 24/7 unrestricted access. You can review the content whenever you want, take a look at the platform, take a look at the signal. We'll get into a second all the scenarios we can run on that, but you can do that with the on-premises, with the cloud with our device, which we'll take care of for you. Or you can do the on-demand application. This is for maybe a programmer that wants to check 40 or 50 titles a month over 30 different devices, and we handle that for you. We provide all the reporting back to you, and you're going to be able to see exactly what your viewers see. It's really as easy as 1, 2, 3. So first thing is the setup. This is where we sit down and talk to you about what your goals are and what you're trying to accomplish, what your KPIs are, and we help you understand how the scripts are written. And it could be something very simple or something that's very complex, but you need to just run it over and over again to make sure that it's working as expected. The next thing we do is we measure that. So this is when our devices really go to work. So this is based on the scenarios that we're helping you write, or your team is writing themselves. And then the last thing is the analysis, which is really, kind of what the reason you'd want to do business with us, because a lot of this you can do yourself, but if you're out gathering this information, then you're not analyzing it. So we're making it far easier for you to see what a customer sees on whichever device you want to measure, but really the most valuable part is the analysis. And so now you don't have to take the time to do that. We provide that for you. That's those services for you. So we're going to go through a few use cases here, and this is when I slow down because this is the kind of the more interesting part. So take a look at this. This is what we call our rec screen, and this is a WIT box. It's connected to, in this case, a device that shows it's a Verizon. The customer that would be using this, they want to look at that signal 24/7. So they want to be able to control the box, which if you see the remote control, it's exactly the remote control that you'd be using if you were sitting on the couch and you're a Fios customer. From that, you can create macros. You can do very complex tasks very simply with a single click, or then that's when you create the scenarios, which we'll get to in a second here, and you'll see how the scenarios apply to simple macros, but the macros that have been exploded to do a lot more things. This is really for full-time monitoring. Think of it almost as a virtual NOC, so that you can, if you have 10 devices that you want to monitor, or 100 devices, we can handle that for you. And what your, it's credentialed access, so that if, for instance, your team in, I don't know, Orlando, Florida, needs to look at only 10 of the 100 different devices that we're monitoring, they can look at that, and then through our setting up of SSO for all of your employees, we can then set up a whole different section for them to check out a different set of devices. Here's an MVPD that's proactively monitoring signals for better uptime. So in this case, there's a couple different applications here, but they might have 20 head ends, and they have 3 different set-top boxes, so they'd use what our WITBox Plus. They would connect each of the set-top boxes and each of the head ends, and then anyone on their team can see specifically what's happening in that, out of that head end. And when a signal goes low, when your audio goes low, whenever there's a problem, we send notifications out, and then your engineering team can, address that. But they're going to see what the customer's seeing before the customer actually has an opportunity to call in and complain that that their favorite channel is not up and running. There we go. Hold on. Here's test automation, and what you're seeing up there, those are the scenarios that we can build or you can build. This is done for anyone who wants to do highly repetitive tasks that are you don't necessarily want to task with for an employee to do, because you want to run it 24/7 on multiple devices. And again, where this becomes very useful is that if you have a development team in India, a development team in Denver, and you're looking at a device or multiple devices that are, say, outside of Philadelphia, you want them to have the actual experience on that device, and they can do that. Although it's not in here, the way we've been able to do this on mobile devices and smart TVs is really is pretty interesting, and the folks that use it get a lot of value out of being able to see exactly what the customers see every time they do a new build of their code. Also our boxes are 4K, Dolby 5.1. We can work with IR, RF, or Bluetooth, which is very unique in the space. Let's go to the next slide. This is VOD Library Reporting. So in this case, a streaming service wants to look at how their content is appearing in multiple territories. So they want to know if content goes up on time, if content is taken down. And sure, they can see a lot of that on their end, but what they can't really see, because they're in one location, they can't see how that applies to multiple devices in a territory that they're not in. So we give them that visibility by bringing the edge closer to them. So in this case, they're taking a look to make sure that their content is appearing on time as it should. There we go. And last use case is when a network wants to make sure that their episodes are fully deployed. So this is the one that I really love because that's sort of the world I came from. So we're looking at multiple devices, set-top boxes and a couple mobile devices, and our robots are going to work to take a look specifically at whether or not the titles were added when they should have or taken down when they should have. And yesterday we did a test where they were trying to make sure that assets weren't being added to the platform too early, because unfortunately somebody in their license window start time forgot to put the actual time, they put the date, so they had some big content that was appearing at 12:01 a.m. Local time when it should have waited till 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So in that case, we're not testing whether something isn't up and it should be, or should be taken down, but did somebody on their, in their metadata group accidentally make an unnecessary change to the metadata, which exposed their content too early. In this case, they didn't want the fans to to get on social media and say that the title that they thought was going to air later that night actually aired a little bit earlier in the day. But let's talk about what happens with the monitoring notifications, because this is really one of the most important things that we can provide to a company like that. So in this case, the scenario I just discussed is they're looking for a VOD asset on multiple platforms and multiple devices. So we're looking at the title, that's what we're keying off of, and we're doing customized notifications. So here's 5 platforms and there's 5 checks. You can see the blue ones, that means that everything checked out fine. The red ones mean that it didn't check out fine. So then what we do is we go back and we do another check, and in this case, the red one now turns blue because everything's fine, but down here on this platform, it's still not been published. So before, they weren't aware of this. They might, again, a fan might say, hey, I can't find my show on this platform, but they didn't know how to address it. So there we go, we do one more test, it shows up blue, they're happy, but all along this path, they're getting these notifications. So they're being told that, yes, your title's there, no, it's not, but what's actually really important is what goes into showing them that it's available. So take a look here, this is a clear message, and in this case it's show name, season, episode, network is now available on this platform. Then if you click here where it says more details, you get all the details about what happened. So up here we can see all the data about the show, the name of the show, etc. This is a video, so every time we go in and we take a look, we're recording that session so that they can go in and take a look and see exactly what happened for us to get there and positively identify the content. There's value in that, but the value is it's not just that the content's there. Now they can go in and they can see here on the Xfinity platform, how do you get to my content? What does it look like? What's the path that the customer has to take? Over here, we've got the video and audio quality analysis, so they can see if there's an issue. There's not on this one. Everything was fine, content was delivered, customer's happy, but when the customer's not happy, it's when their content doesn't show up on the platform. Same layout here, so you can see we're identifying exactly which show it is, from which network. Click down here, more details about the alarm, and you'll see that there's no video quality analysis, and we can show them exactly the time we did the test, so now they have proof if they have to reach out to the platform or their transport provider or anybody that's helping them provision this content to show them that it's not there. So now and they also have the video here that they can share. So we're also set up this can go internally to a network's VOD ops team, but we can also send that out to the transport provider and the platform also, so everybody's on the same page. So when your title doesn't show up at 12:01 in the morning because of a metadata issue, or because the platform has a cutoff for when content's delivered, or there's an issue with your transport provider, or there's this much content, C3 content trying to go into a pipe that's this big, you've got all the information where you can track it back. So again, because it's timestamped, because we have the video, it's really a powerful tool to share with your transport provider or the platform, to show them that just because a customer calls in and says something's not there, well, you need a little more information about that. Maybe why isn't it there? And we'll find in these checks that all sorts of issues. We had an interesting one last week where it said that the title wasn't available, but when you watch the video, really what was happening, it was a 404 error on the platform side. So it was getting all the way there, and then when we got to the container for the content in that episode, the 404 pops up. So in that case, the client may have thought that, maybe we were having a problem because we were misreporting, but we weren't, because we could show them the 404 area, then the 404 error, and then they could go to the platform and try to figure out, why are we throwing multiple 404s on our content? Because we weren't seeing this with any other programmer that we were doing a similar test for. I went a little fast, I know, but like I said, I'm passionate about this, and if you have questions, you can ask, or you can come down here, but this is a list of some of the folks that have used us, and you can see, you recognize everybody loves the big wall of logos, but those folks trust us with, ensuring that their quality of experience is excellent, and that we meet their QA goals, and that they can track their KPIs, because now we give them the tools to do that. Before, it was a little bit of a, kind of a crapshoot, whether or not you were going to be able to back into why your title wasn't showing up, or why a network goes down at certain periods of the day, because all that's trackable, because we're recording all that, or why your maybe a new build of your app isn't working quite right on a device, because if your team's in Brazil, you can't just ship them another device to see if they can test it there. You want everybody to test it in one unified device from multiple locations, and then you can get the results that make your product that much better. So I don't think we're doing Q&A up here, but like I said, if you want to step down there, we'd love to answer some questions just down to the right. And I think that's it. I've given you back 3 minutes of your day. Thank you very much.